Welcome to the next episode of Borrowed Destiny's audiobook. Enjoy.
Back at the hut, Kira has noticed the abrupt change in the weather. She hopes that Gole will return safely, and that the cold wetness will not make him ill. That is something they simply cannot afford. She gets up from the stone she'd been sitting on to rest her legs and heads back inside. Her entire body is exhausted, something that she doesn't often show in front of Gole. But now that he's left the house, she allows the tiredness to reach her bones, the weakness to reach the tipping point of overwhelm. I just need to sleep a while, she tells herself, hoping that she will awaken before Gole returns. Before she can lay down on her Katado bed, however, there's a sharp, furious knock at the front door. Kira freezes, wondering if that man has come back again. Rationality reminds her that he'd come from the shadows and certainly would not choose to use the door. Even so, Kira cannot imagine that they would ever receive any visitors. She and Gole have long lived as outcasts, alone in their small corner of the world. She gets up with some effort and puts a shawl around her shoulders, the only one that she possesses. With trepidation, Kira walks to the front door and opens it, where she is met by two angry people, one of whom is gripping a young woman tightly by her upper arm. "Where is he?" demands the man, whom Kira has surmised to be the young woman's father.
Sir, I beg your pardon, but I don't think that's any manner to greet a stranger,
Kira replies evenly and calmly. She does not fear for her life, and her dignity cannot be taken quite so easily. "Tell her what you've done, Lena." The father ignores Kira's statement and shoves his daughter forward, releasing his iron grip on her arm. Lena is staring at the floor, humiliated and anxious. She touches her arm, where a bruise has formed from her father's rough fingers. Kira looks at her with both confusion and empathy. This girl looks familiar, but Kira can't tell exactly where she knows her from. Lena doesn't say anything. She wants to run away, to disappear into nothing. Now the mother speaks, spitting her words like venom from a scorpion's tail. "This girl is pregnant." Something tugs at Kira's heart. She feels faint, but she pushes through the dizzy sensation and stills herself. She's starting to put things together now, but she can hardly believe any of it. "How long?" she asks, the only question she feels ready to share. Lena doesn't answer, but when her father shoves her shoulder, she finally builds the courage to open her mouth.
3 months. The baby is Gole's."
Kira's hand flies up to cover her mouth. In her shock, she forgets to keep her composure for a single moment. Then she clears her throat, straightens herself up, and stares at Lena's parents. "How do you know this is true?" she demands, hoping that there is some mistake here. "Are you saying that my daughter opens her legs for any boy?" demands the father, his voice booming as raindrops begin to fall from the sky. "Or what? This is your son's child. Don't try to get out of it."
"I promise," Lena whispers through dry lips. "I am not lying. This baby? Gole is the father."
Kira swallows, but she does not back away from the challenge.
"Then what would you have me do?"
"You must take her," the mother replies callously, a cold lacing around her words that makes Lena shiver. "She and her child are your problem now. We cannot care for an unwed mother, and it is your son who has put her in this position." Every word, every phrase, and every sentence, they all hammer into Kira like stones from above. She and Gole barely have anything to eat or wear for themselves, and barely enough water to drink. To care for 2 more mouths would be impossible. But she knows that she cannot leave this young woman out on the streets. If Gole truly is the father of her child, then he must be held responsible for this. "We are leaving," the father announces abruptly, crossing his arms. "This girl is no daughter of ours anymore. Do with her what you want." He turns and marches away, the mother hot on his heels. Lena remains standing outside the door, close to tears, as the rain begins to pour down in earnest. Kira grabs her by the wrist and pulls her into the hut, painfully aware of the fear that sits shallow in the girl's heart.
I'm sorry,
She whispers as sobs begin to overtake her.
I didn't want this.
Come, sit.
Kira commands firmly, bringing the girl to her room.
Gole will return home soon. Then we will talk.
Lena nods, still unable to look up from her feet. She can scarcely believe that her parents have thrown her away like a rabid dog, and her family turned the other way, none willing to help. Gole remains at the river as the dark weather continues to thicken around him. The rain has soaked him entirely and made it difficult to see, but he finishes his work without rest and finally gets up to return home. The roads are muddy and slippery, making the journey slow and arduous, but he keeps his head up and his feet moving. When he is home, he will make a fire, warm himself up, and try to dry the clothes. Tomorrow will be a better day. It is always tomorrow that he's waiting for, hoping for, and wishing that something will change. It never does, and yet he continues to wish and to hope. Keep moving, he reminds himself as he slips into the mud beneath his feet, his muscles burning and his stomach empty. He hopes that Kira has realized that the price of the creature's deal is far too much for anyone to pay. Paradise is not worth another soul. Malik continues to watch from the sidelines. Had he been a being of emotion, he probably would have laughed in amusement. As it stands, he is simply patiently waiting, enveloped by darkness, for his targets to finally break down. He's already used his advanced skills to peer into their home, and he knows what is waiting for Gole there. Gole himself, oblivious, finally makes it home after what seems like an eternity. He heads to the front door and pushes it open, relishing the relief that he feels when he steps inside. Shock takes over when he sees Lena out of the corner of his eye, sitting in his mother's room.
Gole,
She says, her tone similar to the one she had before he left.
she's pregnant and the baby is yours.
Under the rain is the sound of the basket falling to the floor when Gole drops it. The whole world comes crashing down on his shoulders, heavier than anything he could ever carry. He sinks to his knees and stares into nothing. How? How will we survive? He thinks, knowing that he might never find the answer.
Thank you for watching Borrow Destiny audiobook visuals. Subscribe to Faded Pages Audiobooks channel for new episodes. See you on the next one.